This is Nick Douglas for Adventures of a Sailor Girl, and as you can see, I'm not in Cowes or Hamble. In fact, I'm in LA for the Oracle Los Angeles Sail Grand Prix. Very excited to be here. And even though I'm here and I'll be following the racing each day, I have managed to catch up with a few of my favourites before the start of the 50th anniversary of the Rolex Fastnet Race. First up, Richard Clarke, who is sailing with Warrior Won. Chris Sheehan, I'm sorry I won't be there at the finish, mate. I nearly always am, but hope you'll let me pass the slab of beer onto the next offshore race. It would not be a major ocean race if I didn't catch up with Richard Clarke, who is currently in the UK preparing for the 50th Rolex Fastnet Race. Clarky, how are you?
Oh, very good. Enjoying a beautiful week of, remarkably beautiful English weather, just for it all to change on start day.
Yeah, 100%. And that forecast, I think everybody's talking about the forecast. We always do before ocean races because it does, obviously play a large part on all of the events, but it does look particularly nasty, can I say, for the start?
Yeah. The good news is it's not going to last long. A little longer than it lasted a couple of years ago, but we get through the first night into the early morning. Most of the nastiness will have blown through. The Fastnet race is fantastic and unique in its circumstance of leaving the Solent and going straight into it as soon as you get through the little neck at the Western Solent, and we'll be, we've certainly been thinking about it. Certainly, it'll be a preserve and protect first, and then fight from there.
Absolutely. And I mean, you're no stranger to the Fastnet race. You got line honours in 2019 with Wizard. How many have you done, Clarky?
Somebody asked me that the other day, and not that many. I think 4 or 5, really.
4 or 5.
Blessed on doing it with some great programs, and been very fortunate, and been decently successful. So hoping that this one, this fleet is unbelievably stacked. I think it's probably not only it's the biggest fleet assembled, obviously the biggest in the world as far as ocean races are concerned. And if you looked at it, there's a lot of very, very good teams and programs out there. So it's going to be game on.
Absolutely. And speaking of good programs, you are definitely part of one of those, the Warrior Won crew, headed up by Chris Sheehan. And I know I've met him at the finish line a number of times, but it's just a continuation of the great program that you've had with this TP52.
Yeah, absolutely. Those programs, on a couple-year campaign, we're coming to the end of it, but we've had some great success, thanks to Chris, and leaving the no stone unturned, and the team that he's assembled. We're a great group. We've done a lot of miles together. I'm happy to have my, I can't call him my wingman. He's more my co-pilot, Stu Bannatyne, back on board the boat. He and I work out really well together, offset each other, work with each other, counterbalance each other. So it's great. I'm really excited about this race and this team and this boat and the potential it has. And now we just have to go execute tomorrow.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, no stone left unturned. I know after the Rolex Sydney Hobart, you were like this close. So you've got a little bit of motivation there. I mean, have there been any major changes since that race, since I last saw you?
Put the lucky stash back on. For one.
I love it.
It was a Bermuda race thing, and that was successful. And then Hobart, it wasn't. And so now I'm like, it's got to go back on. The boys were already asking a week ago if I was starting to prepare for the stash. So changes to the boat. We've added water ballast to this. It's a very traditionally very good race for that sort of modification. We can have less people and yet the same stability upwind, and then turn the corner and dump the water, and now we have a lighter boat. So that was in the cards for a while to do that and develop that. And then besides that, it's the usual, just chipping away and slight modifications to sail shapes and just continuing to always even here trying to test a few different sail combinations and trying to understand always where we can eke out a couple % here or there, which can make a difference in a race like this.
Definitely. And I know that your crew is definitely one of your weapons, as you mentioned, Stewie Bannatyne, and you can make all the modifications in the world. If you don't execute with the crew that you've got, then it's not worth much.
Yeah, and obviously besides Stewie, we got Will Oxley and Chet Corning and Mo and Tomas and Dylan on the front. Front to back. There's certainly no team that I would want to replace of this team going into battle. And we've done enough reps, and there's complete trust, and in a lot of situations, very quiet boat, not a lot of dialogue needed. Just paint the picture and let the boys go to work.
Sounds like a dream.
It's a good dream. It's a good dream. Hopefully we'll just make sure the first night's not a nightmare, and we'll be hopefully all dreamy after that.
Yeah. So today, I know you guys are taking a day off. You've been training all week, which is fantastic, and obviously puts you in the right spot. But today, I think there's a lot of hard work to go into navigating this race. It's definitely a tough one.
Well, it's a tough one, and the variability in the forecasts, leading up to it has been, gets the brain working and understanding the particulars of it. This position of this low and how it is going to behave is, obviously the models are coming in line because it's now getting closer and closer to the start date. But then you look at the portions of this race, once we get out past Land's End and we start going to the Rock, that is still a day further after the start, and you look at the models for that, and that's getting divergent in their agreement. And then think, I divide this race into sections, and then the rallies and Lily's home to the finish. It's at this point, because it's changing all the time. This is, I'm not saying any offshore race is less of a navigator's race than this one, but this one's particularly challenging in any Fastnet race. And this one is going to be, to continue to try and get the information and analyze it and understand it and adapt to it. And, I think if someone had if someone was drawing their route on the map right now, that it's going to be a bit of fiction when we actually get into the meat of this race.
Yeah, and I mean, we all know that as sailors, we just have to be flexible and basically plan, and then fly by the seat of our pants, which is something that makes our sport very different to so many others. But I mean, I know your team is really set up to do that, and I wish you all the best. I'm sorry I can't be there to cheer you on in person, but please send my regards to Chris Sheehan. I've met him at the finish line of the Fastnet many a time with a case of beer, so I'm sad I won't be there to meet you guys.
Well, yes, we'll be sad with that. We won't get to see you as well, and we'll have to take a rain check on that case of beer for another time.
Sounds like a plan. Good luck to you, and I hope you have the best race and everything holds together, and you get to actually fulfill your potential. I know you've got it in you.
Cheers. Thank you very much.
Very welcome.
Next up, we have Susan Glenny, the female skipper of Olympia Tigress. Haven't met her at the finish for a while. Unfortunately, she hasn't made it. Hopefully, this is third time lucky for Suze and her team.
Welcome, Susan. So nice to catch up with you. It looks like you're actually on your boat. It is the eve of the 50th Rolex Fastnet Race. Firstly, I mean, the preparation of your boat, tell a little bit about Olympia's Tigress to everybody who doesn't know. I mean, a lot of us are familiar with your amazing program. How many Fastnets is this for you?
Sure. Hi, Nick. Lovely to see you. I was like, it's Fastnet. We must be having a chat at some stage. I think the last time was at the end of the 2019 one. We were sort of hot footing to Cows, I think, for Cows Week. But yeah, this will be my 7th Fastnet. And Fastnet is a toughie, right? A real toughie. Like, I've had 2 that we didn't make. We lost the rig on one in 2017, and then the last Fastnet, I actually was knocked unconscious on the start, and which was pretty scary. So it's a real nemesis race. This is not to be taken lightly, and certainly this edition is looking from a forecast standpoint. One of the brutalist, certainly, that I've been involved in. So not to be taken lightly.
Not at all. But your boat, I know you're very close with her. You mentioned being dismasted. I was there when you still came to Plymouth, and I was there to see you at the finish of 2017. How are you feeling given that you're going into this race? I mean, it's third time, you want to prove yourself, but it's looking incredibly hairy.
Yeah, so the boat is always prepped. You know, we race this boat all over the world, like 7 Fastnets, at least 5 Caribbean 600s, middle sea races. So I'm always very, very, very on board with the boat and what she's capable of. For sure, like, this is not a race for the foolhardy, and you know, it's my home waters. Just getting out of the Solent is going to be really, really quite spectacular. And we have not made routing decisions yet. We actually are. I'm going to be making a lot of decisions tonight, and there is a fairly high probable risk that I may delay our start. The exit out over bridge, you know, there were boats in the last edition that broke in half there, and this is not to be taken lightly with all of the traffic. You know, as people who know me and the boat will know, I carry a high proportion of charter crew on the boat we have all sailed together in every race this season, and I actually have one of the most competent crews I've ever had going into a Fastnet. But I'd be saying exactly the same to a bunch of friends. You know, it is absolutely, first you must finish, and that has to be a decision taken by the boat, and it is looking very, very nasty. So I'll be making a lot of analysis tonight, and looking at all of our options.
For sure. And as a skipper, that is your call. And I know that's why so many of us love you, because you always make the decision for your boat and your crew, as a good skipper should. I mean, tell me a little bit more about your boat. You mentioned that you do have a high proportion of charter crew, but you do the whole season. I know you're a massive advocate for women in sailing as well. I mean, tell me about your beautiful, beautiful first 40.
So first 40, she's 13 years old. In fact, for this race, I have many of you will know Jamie Torres, who is the race officer for Antigua Sailing Week. Jamie was the first owner of this boat, Smile and Wave, in the Caribbean, and he is my co-skipper for the race. So really good pair of hands on the boat, like knows how the boat works. So that's going to be great. Then from like the rest of the crew standpoint, I have Ali, who is ex-police officer, fantastic lady, very capable. Sam, who actually did the last Fastnet with me and unfortunately experienced that really nasty conditions where I fell foul on the start line and was injured badly. Then we have young Joe, who is an aero sailor, really, really good dinghy sailor. And I have a guy and a girl from British Keelboat Academy, who this is their sort of first dip into offshore racing. And who else have we got? Sergio, who's done like a few deliveries and stuff with me. So a real mixed international crew. As I said, all sailed this boat together on many of the qualifiers for this season. So, you know, I'm really confident in the crew, and it's my role to make good decisions for them. You know, good decisions and bring 9 people back having had a good time. So that's my thinking ethos.
I have no doubt that they'll have a good time with you, Suze. Everyone
already had some fun.
Oh, that's so good to hear. And where are you now? Are you in Cowes?
We're in Cowes, we're in Shepherd, so you can see all around. We've got like, there's the red funnel making a noise. Somebody's like just cut in front of it, standard. So yeah, we've got lots of people around, like setting up storm jibs and trysails, and we're actually probably going to go out for a little sail in a minute. I just want to get the reefs bound into the main tonight, so we're good to go, and then we'll set our trysail up tonight, ready for the gate tomorrow. Because whatever decision we make, even if it were to delay starting, the protocol is we have to go out and do all the safety checks. We also have to start, so we will cross the line. We may well come back in and sit out for like maybe till the following morning when the first front dissipates and proceed on. That again doesn't present good options either, because as anyone who's tracking the race weather will know that we have this very fierce front coming in through tomorrow, over tomorrow night. further down the track, there is a second front, the second low that will come, and depending on where you are in fleet, there, you know, that can hit either on the way to the rock or certainly at least halfway back. And that also looks quite nasty. And at the moment, all of the models are really saying slightly different things, which is not a good sign either. It's unstable. We don't really know what's going to happen. So obviously every forecast that we get before the race start is key now. And whenever we do start, we will certainly be making some other decisions when we get to Falmouth area, around that Irish Sea crossing. And for anyone who's done the race, they will know that even in fairly temperate conditions, the sea state there is hugely confused with the continental shelf, obviously, you know, the Atlantic 4,000 meters just disappearing to 200. The water just hits a wall, basically. And that causes a very, very, very confused sea state, which you don't want to be in 50 knot gusts. So, you know, we will be making some brave calls. You need to be brave to make good decisions. And, you know, go with your gut instinct and go with your knowledge, and, you know, sort of everyone else on every other boat will do the same thing that's right for them, you know.
Oh, 100%. And I'm just sad that I can't be there to see you off this year, or to be waiting for you at the finish when you hopefully make it into Cherbourg, as you mentioned, with a very safe boat and a very safe crew. You know, I'm wishing you all the best, Suze.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, I love, you know, it wouldn't be a Fastnet without talking to you. So it's nice to have had this little chat.
No, absolutely. Well, I'm cheering for you from LA, and I'm going to be watching you on the tracker like nothing else, and everybody else can be watching anybody who they're following in the race on that tracker as well. Good luck to you, Suze, and to everybody. Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks, Nick. Lovely to talk to you.
You too, gorgeous.
Finally, we have, last but not least, one of the smallest and oldest boats in the fleet. It's the mighty Maluka, skippered by Sean Langman, with his son on board as well, and Gordy Maguire, looking like a rough forecast. We're wishing everyone the best.
The Maluka is over here in the United Kingdom, just on the eve of the Rolex Fastnet yacht race. This is the 50th edition. 100 years of Fastnet, and we figured after 8 Sydney Hobarts and coming off the back of Pete Langman's victory in IRC Division 5 that we'd actually try something a little bit different with Maluka. I've been cruising around these waters. We shipped her to Cork and had a wonderful time. Our Irish friends really laid it out for us over there at Crosshaven, and being a guest at the Royal Cork Yacht Club, the oldest yacht club in the world, and the hospitality was just absolutely fantastic, absolutely fantastic. Well, Maluka is actually Australian Indigenous, Australian Aboriginal word for respect and affection, and we have so much affection for our little girl. She's 30 feet overall, Huon Pine. She's 90 years old now. She's in her 92nd season. She was built all the way back in 32, and just at 30 feet overall, she actually weighs in at almost 7 tons when she's sailing, 6,800 kilos dry weight, if you like, and then plus a few of the buoys and a bit of water, etc. She comes in just over 7 ton. So we've been experimenting with a few things. We figured actually in this race course that we'd get a bit of chance to power reach if you can do such a thing on a 1932 gaff cutter. So whilst I've been here over the last 3 weeks, I've set up the little storm jib on a baby stay so we can actually triple head, which is a bit of fun. We're hoping we're going to give that a bit of a run. Weather-wise, looking fairly challenging the first 24 hours. It's a bit less than 24 hours, but we're certainly going to get a good taste of really what Fastnet Challenge is about, given that we'll probably see up to 30, 35 knots. There's an outgoing tide, which is fantastic for getting a few miles under the bottom, but it'll mean that the seas will really be picking up. Roger Badham, our latest Order of Australia recipient, has us on port tack for quite a while, and then it actually dies off about 2 a.m. on the Sunday morning, so not even really 24 hours, and then a big shift to the right, it goes a little bit soft, then another front comes through later on. So it's going to be very challenging. I think for us, the main thing is, and I know it's a bit of a cliche, is that really when we get the opportunity to get her heading to the west, sort of a little bit strange going east-west instead of north-south, but getting used to that. We've got to get as much westing as we can, really, because there is a second front coming, and if we line ourselves up okay, we'll be just freed sheets to get around Fastnet, and then we should have a fairly lively run for a while, which would be a lot of fun in the old girl. But the main thing, as always, is to just get through the first part and just allow the little tortoise at the back of the fleet to just look after the crew as we have to look after her. So speaking of crew, we have Pete Langman really coming off the back of a fantastic Rolex Sydney Hobart race where he won Division 5 IRC with a bunch of his mates, which is just legendary stuff. So we'll be taking a few pointers from Pete. I'm hoping that he'll be on my watch. We have Pete Inchbold, great mate of mine who's done the Fastnet before, and I'd say he will probably more than likely be teaming up with Gordon Maguire. Gordon's sort of a little bit of a strange one for this. He's done, I think he said something like 9 Rolex Fastnet races. He signed up to Salem Moneypenny and really lifted our performance there. We had an awesome Division 0 win in the Hobart, which was fantastic, and Gordon's fingerprints were all over that. He stuck with us, and which is lovely. And I thought, really, given the opportunities he had with other boats, he might sort of regretfully say that he'd been given a better offer. However, I think the amount of press that he received and notoriety he received in Ireland, and the welcome that they gave him there, I think he's a little bit stuck now. But he's been right into it, and actually it was quite amusing yesterday when we went out and tried the triple heading, and he had a big grin on his face. So I'm sure he's going to have a good time. And on the guessing, the never guessing, navigating, is great mate, stalwart of our sailing team is Josh Alexander. It's a difficult one. There's a lot of current. I did the sort of course in reverse from Cork through the Scillies and sort of pub crawled my way along the South England coast, which was absolute to die for. It's just the most amazing cruising ground, and I've said it a few times, it's the best 3-week sailing I've ever done. It was just magical. But the one thing I did learn, I suppose, inverted commas, is the amount of tide that and current that doesn't really seem to make much sense to us Aussies, but Josh is hopefully all over that. We have actually gone to the dark side a little bit. We have got a sat dome now, so we can get a bit more weather intel than what the boat has had in the past. So there she is. I'm down at the boat at 6:30 a.m. to see the diver. It's a little unusual for us. The last edition's winner, Sunshine, still hanging in the slings, which we enjoy back in Australia with the support of Noakes, our boatyard, where we hang the boats in the sling till the last minute, and actually normally wipe a bit of detergent on the bottom, which I think was an old Buddy Melger's trick that I heard many years ago. Wetting agent, I think Buddy used to call it. So I used to do that, but this time round I don't get that opportunity. We got divers at 6:30 a.m. in the morning, but we're actually off dock quite a bit later than that, because the race for us starts at sort of around about 3 o'clock. So that's a little bit different to what we're used to, but we are now the last start, which is a good call by the RORC, because it's just far safer than having the little boats not being run over by the big ones. But still, for us, gaff rig boat, dare I say, doesn't really. It points actually the same as a Supermax, 44 true, but that means that we're going a lot slower. I think if you can work that one out. But anyway, done the weather. We've got one more sleep now, which I'm very much looking forward to. Dare I say, we are the most prepared I've been in any race boat, in inverted commas. I'm looking forward to the challenge. Apartment I'm staying here has this model in the back here of a little topsail gaff cutter. I think that's to give me inspiration. We're not setting a topsail, but she's about the same era, and yeah, about the same sort of shape. So there you go. Anyway, that's us, folks. We'll be out there racing and very much looking forward to it. Very much looking forward to it. It's going to be a great challenge.